Mistake number 1, in the beginning versus at the beginning. A lot of people use these the same way. They are not the same. Use at the beginning when you are talking about the start of something specific, a movie, a class, and meeting, a story. Use in the beginning when you are talking about an early time or period without pointing to one specific thing. For example, in the beginning of the play, the lights go down and nobody speaks. This is incorrect. The accurate version would be at the beginning of the play, the lights go down and nobody speaks. The play is a specific thing with a clear start, so you say at the beginning, not in the beginning. Now, you'd be correct if you said, in the beginning, nobody believed the project would work, because you are talking about a general early period, not the start of one specific thing. Here's a simple rule. If you can point to it, use at. If it is general, use in. Stick around because there's one mistake that even fluent native speakers make all the time and they don't know it. Mistake number 2, in the end versus at the end. Same idea, different direction. Use at the end when you are talking about the final part of something specific, a book, a film, a road, a conversation. Use in the end when you mean finally, or after a long time, or after thinking about something for a while. For example, in the end of the story, the hero dies. This is wrong. The correct version is at the end of the story, the hero dies. If you are pointing to a specific moment in a specific story, you use at the end. Now check this out. If you say, in the end, she decided to stay, you are correct, because you are not pointing to a moment in a story. You're saying that after everything, after all the thinking and waiting, this is what happened. The simple rule is this. If you are pointing to a moment in something specific, use at. If you are talking about a final outcome or conclusion, use in. Mistake number 4, unless versus until. These two are very different, but people mix them up all the time. Unless means except if. You use it when something will not happen if a condition is not met. On the other hand, until means up to the time when. You use it when something will not happen before a certain point in time. For example, he's not moving back in unless he pays up is inaccurate. The accurate answer is he's not moving back in until he pays up. Why? Because the sentence is about time. He cannot move back in before the payment happens. That is until. Unless would work in a different sentence. For example, he's not moving back in unless he apologizes. The apology is the condition. If he apologizes, he can move back in. If he does not, he cannot. The simple rule is this. If you are waiting for something to happen, use until. If something will only happen on one condition, use unless. Mistake number 5, in spite of versus despite. The good news is that these two mean exactly the same thing. You can use either one. The mistake people make is saying despite of. That is never correct. For example, she left work despite of my warning is very wrong. She left work despite my warning is correct. She left work in spite of my warning is also correct. Mistake number 6, though versus although. These two also mean the same thing, and most of the time you can use either one. But there is one important difference. Although only works at the beginning or middle of a sentence. Though is more flexible. It can go at the beginning, the middle, or the end of a sentence. For example, though I was tired, I finished the work. And although I was tired, I finished the work. Both are correct. But in this example I'm about to give, only though works here. I was tired, but I finished the work though. You cannot say I finished the work although. It does not work. When the word comes at the end of a sentence on its own, it must be though. The simple rule is this. If the word is at the end of the sentence, use though. Everywhere else, both work fine. Mistake number 7, raise versus rise. These two words look similar and they both talk about something going up. That is where the similarity ends. Raise means to lift something or move something up. It always needs an object. Something or someone has to be raised. Rise means to go up on its own. It does not need an object. Nothing is being lifted by anyone. For example, I raise my hand when I know the answer is wrong. The correct answer is I raise my hand when I know the answer. Your hand does not go up on its own. You are lifting it. That is raise. But this is correct. The sun rises every morning. The sun goes up on its own. Nobody is lifting it. That is rise. Another example, the company raised its prices. Someone made the prices go up. That is raise. If you say prices are rising, it's because they are going up on their own. That is rise. Simple rule, if someone or something is doing the lifting, use raise. If something is going up on its own, use rise. Mistake number 8, used to versus used to. This one is a writing mistake more than a speaking mistake, because both sound exactly the same when you say them out loud. But in writing, only one is correct. Used to describes something that happened regularly in the past, but does not happen anymore. For example, I used to live in London is wrong. I used to live in London is right. The D is always there, always. Even when it feels unnecessary, even when it sounds the same, the D does not disappear. The only time you write used to without the D is in a question or negative sentence with did. For example, did you used to live in London? In those cases, did is already carrying the past tense, so used becomes use. But in a normal positive sentence, it is always used to. Simple rule, if there is no did in the sentence, always write used to with a D. Mistake number 8, will be versus would be. This is one of the most common mistakes in English that even fluent native speakers make all the time, and it usually comes down to one thing, mixing up real situations and imaginary ones. Will be is used for real situations, things that are possible, likely, or certain to happen. Would be is used for imaginary or hypothetical situations, things that are not real or conditions that have not been met. For example, if I have $1 million, I will be the happiest person alive is wrong. The right answer is if I had $1 million, I would be the happiest person alive. You don't have $1 million. It's imaginary, so you use would be, not will be. But this is correct. If the weather is good tomorrow, we will be at the beach. This is a real possibility. The weather might actually be good, so you use will be. Another example, it would be great if she calls me back. She hasn't called, it's hypothetical. That is would be. But it will be great when she calls back. You are confident she will call. That is will be. The simple rule is if it's real and possible, use will be. If it's imaginary or hypothetical, use would be.